Hey guys, hope you had a good day. Today we are talking about a famine and some lepers and an economy. There was this city, Samaria. It was in a deep famine, okay, and the economy was horrible. There was nothing at all, no food at all. So people would pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for just the littlest, tiniest piece of food. The economy was totally messed up. Gold was worth nothing. Food was worth everything because there was such a horrible famine. They were eating donkey heads, and donkey heads cost thousands of dollars. They were eating bird poop, and they were paying money for it. And it got so bad they actually started eating other people. Really, really bad famine. Alright? So, the king was really ticked off, so he goes to Elisha. Elisha is the one that hears from God, so basically the king says, you're responsible, it's all your fault. So he says, I'm coming over and I'm going to cut your head off. So he's on his way over there, and Elisha sends a messenger, and they goes to the door. They close the door, they shut it real good, and when the king comes up, the messenger goes to the door, and he says, King's screaming, this disaster's from the Lord, and since you're talking for the Lord, it's all your fault too. And Elisha's servant that went down, this is what the word was. He said, hear the word of the Lord. This is what the Lord says about this time tomorrow. I'm paraphrasing it. It says a shia, a flour, and a shaw, and a shekel, and siha. All these weird measurements. But basically a bunch of flour. Big old bag of flour you can buy for really cheap, a couple bucks. And a big old bag of barley, a couple bucks. So he says tomorrow, about this time tomorrow, there's going to be tons of food. It's going to be all around, and it's going to be so much food that everybody can buy it for really cheap. And one of the officers that was with the king said, look, even if it rained, he says, even if the floodgates of the heavens were opened today, how could this happen? Because it takes a while for food to grow, right? So even if it started raining right now and the famine was over, rain-wise, the drought was over, it would still take a year before all the crops we could plant them and they could be harvested, right? And Elisha said, since you don't believe that God can do this, you're going to hear about it, but you won't actually see it with your own eyes. So this is what happened. Now there were 4 lepers at the entrance of the city gate, and they said, why should we stay here until we die? And I love what they say. They say, if we say, we'll go to the city, for the famine is there, we're going to die in the city. If we stay here, we're going to die. So let's go over to the Armenian camp, the guys that had surrounded the city, and surrender. If they beat us, awesome. If they kill us, who cares? We're going to die anyways. Let's give it a shot. So at dusk, they got up. They went to the Armenian camp. Not a man was there, for the Lord had caused the Armenians to hear a sound of chariots and horses and a great army, so that they said to one another, look, the king of Israel has hired the Egyptians and the Hittites to attack us. So they got up and fled at dusk. They abandoned their tents and their horses and their donkeys. They left the camp, and they ran for their lives. I would love to have heard the sound that God made, that made them run for their lives. The lepers reached the edge of the camp. They entered. First thing they saw in the tent was food. They were starving to death. What do you think they did? Do you think they went and got the gold or the food? They ate and they drank. Can you imagine? Oh my gosh, look at this food. Just imagine starving guys eating, and they ate and they ate and they ate. And then they started carrying away the silver and the gold and the clothes, and they went and they hid it. They came back, still nobody was there. So they ate some more, and they entered another time and took some of the things and went and hid them also. They're hiding all the gold and the silver and the money and the clothes, probably eating every time they come back. Then they said to each other, we're not doing right. This is a good day of good news. We're keeping it to ourselves. If we wait until daylight, we're going to be punished. Let's go at once and report this to the royal palace. So they went and they told the king. And they said, there's no one here. Only the donkeys are left and the horses. And they left. The gatekeeper shouted the news and reported to the king. The king the king's officials said, oh, it's a trap. The Armenians are going to just come out. They're going to kill us. They just set a trap. And one of the officers says, have some of the men take 5 horses. Their plight will be like that of the Israels left here. Yes, they will only be like those Israels who are doomed. He said they sent some guys and they said, if we stay here, we're going to die. Might as well just send some guys, and if the Armenians kill them, I mean, they were going to die anyways. So they selected some men. They went over there, and they scouted all around, and none of the Armenian army was around. And the whole road was strewn with clothes and equipments and things that were thrown as they were running. They must have been terrified as they were running. The whole road was littered with stuff that they had thrown as they were running. So all of the people, they heard it. They all went and got all the food. They brought it all back into the city, and they sold like a big old bag of flour for just a couple of bucks. And the guy that said there's no way that could happen, he heard about it, but as they were all coming in and bringing all the food and all the stuff in, the whole city went out into the camp and grabbed all the food, and they all brought it back to the city. As all the people were coming in, he got trampled. So he heard about it, but he didn't see it. So, the end. Love you guys. Have a good night.